What is your view of giving the title of Co-Redemptrix to the Blessed Virgin Mary? As I understand it, this has always been a rather hotly debated thing in the Church, and there is no dogma regarding it.
Correct.
As a convert from Protestantism, I have never had a problem with Marian doctrine myself, but this title is one I generally stay away from because it seems to put Mary on equal footing with Jesus. I get Mediatrix, but Co-Redemptrix seems a bit much. If you could help me understand it a bit more, I would appreciate it.
Happy to help, even though it's not in canon law. Can we let that alone now? Can we just not keep going back to smacking around?
That would be good.
All right, thank you. You see what I work with, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, the thing is that Co-Redemptrix, one of the major fallacies, is the idea that Co-Redemptrix means that somehow Mary and our Lord are equal. They're not. Co just means someone who does something alongside. Co-writer, we were talking about this before the show. Co-writer could have just contributed the title in a chapter. It doesn't mean that co-writers are equal. Cooperation just means you're working together. It doesn't mean that you're equal. Part of the problem, I think, is the notion of equality itself, and I'm not being funny.
Right.
It's gotten into everything.
Right, absolutely.
You know, parents are equal to children. Children can call their parents by their first names. You know, what's really funny, just this isn't really related, but it's kind of funny when you're in a position where you arrange it so that your friends' children treat you with more formality and respect than they treat your parents. Or their parents, rather.
Oh.
You know, where they'll call their mother and father Patsy and Johnny.
Right.
They'll call you Mr. Coulombe or Uncle Charles.
Yeah.
And that's something I insist on. Anyway, I digress. But it is kind of Christmassy and family-oriented. Anyway, so the thing is that Co-Redemptrix does not mean that she is equal. But, and this is an important thing to remember, although he might well have accomplished the redemption in some other way, without Our Lady's active cooperation, it would not have happened as it did. Without Mary, no God-man. She gave him the entirety of his DNA, literally. One of the funny things about these Eucharistic miracles is that in some of them, where the wine is turned to blood, or the bread to flesh, they're able to detect human DNA, but they can't map it. They can't map it because you need two strands to map it. And this stuff only has one. That's pretty odd. Similarly, and I'm touching also on Mediatrix of all graces, which you don't have a problem with, but a lot of people do, and they're bracketed. Pope Benedict XV, not 16th, 15th, wrote about it to some extent. And the simile he used, although it's a little inelegant, I think fits. He says, Christ is the head of the church, but Mary is the neck. And the truth is that because without her cooperation, without her being along for the ride, we wouldn't have him. And that's the meaning of both of those phrases. It doesn't imply that she's equal in any way, because everything she has, she gets from him. Her standing. What is her greatest claim to fame? She's Mother of God, not God. She's, she's the Queen of Heaven. Well, yeah, but she's Queen of Heaven in all her majesty, precisely because her son was king. Everything of value that Our Lady has, she derives from him. But everything human that he has, he got from her. And these two, again, because our own society, our own lives are so screwy, it's hard for us to see these things in their proper context. Real motherhood, real fatherhood, which are the traditional ways of understanding our Lord and Our Lady and the Godhead, are virtually extinct in many places today. So it's very difficult for us to understand these concepts. It's not because we're more noticeably stupid, although we may be, but simply because so many of us just don't have any first-hand experience of proper relationships. And since we don't, we look at theological formulations that were based upon our having them. And there's like Sanskrit. So, anyway, to recoup, or to recap, not to reinvent, I'm all for acknowledging Our Lady as Co-Redemptrix and Mediatrix of all graces. However, having said that, as you say, it's not been defined. So, if you tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not in a position to call you a heretic. Isn't that sad? One should always insult people.
That's so fun, though.
I know. It makes us feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
It allows us to forget all those venial sins.
Yeah.
Now, see, if I'm busy insulting you and finding fault with you, I don't have to worry about me.
That's true. One little aside, the one thing I always think of when we talk about Mary, Mediatrix, Co-Redemptrix, I think Saint Bernard Clairvaux had a nice meditation on the Annunciation.
Yeah.
Where he pictured all of creation, all the animals everywhere just stopped and held their breath and waited because everything was dependent on the next words that Mary would say.
Yeah.
Everything. So I thought that was a beautiful meditation.
Yeah. Behold the handmaid of the Lord.
Yeah.
Let it be done to me according to thy word.
Yep.
Gosh, it's too bad the church was wrong about the Bible all these years. No, it's true. The whole thing about the serpent laying in wait for her heel.
Oh, she shall crush thy head. Yeah.
Right. Well, we know now because we're so much better than the Catholics who came before us, and we're a lot better than St. Jerome.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Because he was just an ignorant moron from Dalmatia.
Yeah.
I wonder if he had spots like other Dalmatians. Anyway. We know so much better than he did.
We do.
Gosh, what I don't understand is why is it that with all this extra knowledge that the saints lacked, we're so much stupider than they were, and so much more sinful. I mean, we're better Catholics now that we don't have Advent penance. We know this. Now that we have the Code of Canon Law of 1983, we're the best that ever existed. So I just don't get it. Why is it with all our improvements over the past, we're such morons? It's a weird paradox.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
Yeah, a real mystery, all right. Anyway, let's move along. What do we got?